Of all the things you could possibly lie about, having cancer or having any type of illness, especially something terminal, is about the worst thing I think a human can lie about. And today we're talking about someone who faked stage 5 cancer. Stage 5 cancer is not a thing, yet this woman tried to pretend that's what she had going on. Lucy Wieland, who not only lied about having it, but she stole money from the very community who tried to help her beat it. Just absolute scum. Before Brad and Lucy actually started dating, Jamie was going through a breakup of her own, and her mom suggested that she move in with Brad. They were only a few years apart from one another, so they'd always been pretty close, and Brad was totally fine with her moving in. Then in December of that year is when he and Lucy started casually dating. According to his cousin Jamie, it wasn't that serious for Brad. Lucy felt differently, and Jamie got to witness that firsthand. As the next few weeks went on, the two girls became pretty close friends, and Jamie said that Lucy was clearly falling for Brad head first. The two of them would even hang out when Brad was away for work, and that's when Lucy confided in her about the abusive relationship that she said she just got out of. And she also said that Brad saved her from it. In hindsight, I'll just go ahead and say it, Jamie doesn't think that this relationship was even real, but in the moment, she wasn't going to accuse her of lying. She had no reason to think she was lying, actually, and it put her in a hard position because she knew that Brad didn't feel the same way about her and certainly didn't think that he saved her from any relationship. And she even told Lucy that, I don't think he feels as strongly about you as you do about him. But according to Jamie, it was like talking to a wall. It honestly seems like it was just a recipe for disaster from the beginning, that Lucy was determined for, her relationship with Brad to evolve the way that she wanted, and he clearly didn't want that at all. And I think Lucy started to realize that. So what does she do? She decides to give herself cancer. So in March of 2018, Lucy went over to Jamie and Brad's house while he wasn't home, and Jamie remembers that she looked incredibly sad. And when she asked her what was wrong, Lucy told her about her diagnosis. And she said that she went to the doctor about some bleeding, some fatigue, and some stomach pains. And it turns out that she had stage 4 ovarian cancer. And she also mentioned that her chance of survival was slim. And so it seemed like everything was going according to her plan. This is exactly how she wanted things to turn out. But of course, as we hear so often in cases like this, Lucy just had to escalate things. She had to get more attention, of course, and so she started a blog. It was called No Thanks Ovarian Cancer, and that's where she documented everything. And from what I understand, it was a public journal of sorts where she would talk about her struggles and her fears and, her overall journey. And for legitimate cancer patients, a blog can be highly therapeutic and sort of can keep loved ones updated without the constant burden of having to write out text messages to them. Of course, that wasn't the point of Lucy's blog. The point of her blog was to get sympathy from people and to manipulate those around her. Now, I wish so badly I could have found screenshots for you guys, but I'm so sorry. They do not exist on the internet, which is kind of crazy. I searched high and low for any screenshots from the blog, anything. And I couldn't find anything. I even used the Wayback Machine and other archiving sites, but nothing came up. But I did find other sources that quoted her, and so I wanted to read those for you. So this specifically is from an article from August of 2018 that Lucy was interviewed for, and in it she talks about her early diagnosis. It says, "At first, we were pretty hesitant to believe it. We were like, that is so dramatic. It's not going to be that bad. As my health started to deteriorate and other things went wrong and other organs started to shut down, it became a bit more real." She also said that she initially thought she was sick because of the stress of working through Christmas with a new business. But come to find out, according to Lucy, it was actually stage 4 cancer. Here's another quote. "At the time, though, I didn't realize what ovarian cancer was, like most people. We didn't think it would be this aggressive this quickly. And as for how she was coping with it, Lucy said, I feel like how I deal with it changes every day. At first, when there weren't a lot of treatment options available and the negativity of a lot of specialists that I've had, I was very much in the mindset that I just want to be as happy and as comfortable for as long as I can. As I let it sink in for a little bit more, I realized what that actually meant. I kind of realized that I haven't loved the people that I love for long enough, so I want to fight it. So from that, you can tell that she sort of had this, I'm going to do whatever I can to stay alive. I am strong. I'm going to fight back sort of mentality that's obviously very captivating to people, very inspiring. And of course, one of the ways that she was really able to sell the act was to change her outer appearance as much as she could to match what was happening to her. She lost a significant amount of weight. She shaved her head to make it seem like she'd lost her hair in chemo. We definitely have seen that. And according to Jamie and Brad, she acted very sick. Of course, they didn't know that she was acting at the time, but you know what I mean. She would spend days unable to move from the couch or her bed and was often throwing up and sleeping next to the toilet. On August 14th, 2018, he created a GoFundMe for Lucy. And by this point, he believed traditional chemotherapy wasn't working, so they were asking for money to help pay for alternative treatments. Specifically, there was this doctor in Germany that she wanted to see, but each session was allegedly going to cost $40,000. My partner and I have chosen to reach out to our family, friends, and international community for help with Lucy's battle against her stage 4 ovarian cancer. The beginning of this year, we were hit with a horrible hand of cards when Lucy was diagnosed with ovarian cancer at the age of 26. 2017 was an exciting time for Lucy, fulfilling her dream and passion of one day owning her very own beauty salon. Over the next few months, Lucy's condition deteriorated extremely quickly. This has resulted in the inability to ever have children of her own. Lucy has just started her second cycle of chemotherapy sessions, which brings her treatment to 8. Over the last 6 months, Lucy has had ultrasounds, scans, blood tests, specialist appointments, and more. Her cancer has now progressed to stage 4 ovarian cancer, giving us the harsh reality that she is terminally ill. Up until this point, we have financed Lucy's treatments on our own. This has exhausted all of our savings, as well as options for personal loans. We have had 3 different specialists unable to provide us with any hope for a positive outcome. The surgery and treatments have failed to sustain or improve her condition. We are urgently looking to move away from generic Western medicine and need to try alternative treatments in the hope of prolonging Lucy's life. One of these options is extremely expensive. Not only would we have to travel overseas, but each singular session would cost approximately $40,000. And their GoFundMe goal was to hit $100,000, and they got halfway there. Now, that article I mentioned earlier came out shortly after this, and they linked the page, so that's when donations really started to come through. Brad was actually able to pay off his loans as a result of the money that came in, and the rest was supposedly going towards her treatment. In October of that year, someone attempting to send flowers to her at Townsville Hospital was told that there was no patient receiving treatment there named Lucy Wieland. Now, whoever this was must have had major guts, because right away after hearing that, they just went ahead and sent her a DM accusing her of lying about being sick. Lucy actually used this to play the victim even further. She confided in Jamie and Brad about what had happened and acted super upset about the whole thing. She told them that she had told the hospital not to give out her personal information. Plus, Australia does have something similar to HIPAA, and Jamie even defended her online because she couldn't believe that anyone would accuse Lucy of something so horrific. The problem, though, is the suspicion around Lucy when it comes to others was definitely growing, and Brad was even being accused of being part of her scheme. Supposedly, he was even getting death threats about it all, which he actually did not know that she was lying. He had no idea, so that must have been extremely confusing and upsetting for him. But little did he or anyone else know, things were about to come to light. Lucy was being investigated, and that investigation came to a head on October 17th, 2018, when a search warrant was executed at her and Brad's house. They searched through the house while Brad was at work, and they found evidence to confirm that Lucy was a fraud. Prior to this, investigators confirmed that she was never a patient at Townsville Hospital, and there was no history of her ever having received cancer treatment. Not only that, but they learned that her claims of needing money to pay for this treatment in Germany was total bullshit. The treatment that she wanted, that was $40,000 per session in Germany, was actually available right there in Australia. In fact, the cancer treatment that she wanted was free at Townsville Hospital. So obviously it made zero sense that she was asking for money for those treatments and for travel to Germany. And inside her house, they also found further evidence of fraud, of course. First, they found a pill bottle that was labeled letrozole, which is a treatment for breast cancer. But when they tested those drugs, it ended up just being a pill that treats urinary tract infections. And she wasn't even a patient of the prescribing doctor labeled on the bottle. Investigators also found a letter from a Dr. Suresh Varma, who stated that Lucy was being treated for stage 4 ovarian cancer. And for context, if you haven't already figured it out, this was the letter that Brad used to get a leave of absence from the army. And this was completely forged. Lucy was not a patient of this doctor. Poor Brad specifically took out $17,000 in loans for her, and he definitely spent money straight out of his own savings as well. He was directly confronted by a detective and a medical examiner while he was just at work one day, normal day. And at first he had thought something horrible had happened to Lucy. He was concerned about her. And then they explained the whole fraud to him. He said, "As soon as I heard someone was saying we were being fraudulent with it, I saw red and was ready to fight anyone who thought there was a hole in the reason why we started the GoFundMe. Creating that GoFundMe took a lot of pride for me to swallow. I never had to ask anyone for money or handouts." I think he was genuinely shocked to find all of this out. And it's also important to note that they had a joint bank account that she managed. And don't forget, she worked at a bank before all of this. So she was really savvy when it came to that kind of stuff. And I'm sure there are people who think maybe Brad was in on it, but it's important to know that he was never charged with any connection to it. And I truly believe that he was a victim in all of this. And I can see how you could be tricked by someone like Lucy, like a master manipulator. It happens. It's easier than you would think. And Lucy, on the other hand, she was arrested and charged. In total, she faced 7 charges, 4 related to fraud, 1 to forgery, another for uttering a forged document, and a final one for possession of restricted drugs. And she posted bail while awaiting her trial. Now, Brad agreed to let her stay at the house for 1 week because she didn't have anywhere else to go, but after that, she was on her own. And as for Jamie's reaction to this, she thought there was no way it could be true. At first, she even texted Lucy saying, "I don't know what's going on, but I support you 100%. But that didn't last very long because Jamie ended up having a conversation with her grandma, who, of course, is also Brad's grandma. Her grandma said, quote, "Love, I didn't want to say anything earlier, but when she visited me, she spent the whole time complaining about you. She didn't have a nice thing to say. She said you were always too busy to help her, never did any cleaning, and wouldn't leave the apartment even though she and Brad wanted you out." And then Jamie texted Lucy saying, "You're a piece of shit. I never want to speak to you again." Do not blame her. Can you imagine how infuriated you would be? I mean, Jamie was really, really there for her. And to be told all of that, that had to hurt so bad. So yeah, now Lucy had 0 people on her side. She was completely on her own. And as a last-ditch effort to save face, she tried to pin it on Brad. She said, "I've got scars and holes in me that I don't know how I got. Memories of him taking me to appointments that never existed. A criminal charge for something he organized and I had 0 access to. This guy has completely cut me." She also said, "I'm not accusing him of anything, but what has happened? I thought I was dying. I don't know what the hell has happened to me over the last 10 months. I have no answer for myself, let alone anyone else. I'm sorry, but how do you not remember how you got scars and holes in you? Who is going to believe this? In the end, she did end up pleading guilty anyway. She was facing up to 5 years in jail for those 6 charges, and she was ultimately sentenced to only 2 years with parole eligibility in 6 months. She was also ordered to pay back 29,600 Australian dollars in restitution, and thankfully GoFundMe did refund those who made donations, which is great to hear. I hope it didn't make you too angry.